Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time we're going to take a look at the great Rocky Marciano, who retired in 1956. What if Marciano had never retired?
Scores with combinations of left stance going straight up. North is about to drop. North
Before we get going, please hit the like button and subscribe. You know that's going to help the channel. All right, first of all, we're going to look at Marciano. He did not retire in 1956. What would have happened? Well, the person he would have had to take on in 56 was Floyd Patterson. He was 21 years old, had won the Olympic gold medal in the middleweight division in 1952. Lightning hands, quick, and you can see he's 32-1 going into the fight against Marciano. They're both about the same size. Patterson has a slight advantage in reach. And Patterson had a long career, where Marciano had a very short career because he retired. But in this scenario, remember, we're going to say, what if? What if he had not retired? All right, let's take a look at Rocky Marciano in action. Here he is against Don Crockell of England. And you can see the relentless style of Marciano. Great body attack. Here he is against Listarza, also in defense of his title, and another knockout. Here he is against Archie Moore. Last fight, 1955. Just relentless in his pursuit. Here it is in slow motion. Marciano weighed about 185, 189, somewhere in that area. Here he is against the great Joe Louis, knocking him out. I believe this is the 8th round. All these fights are similar. I mean, there's not a big difference in them. He just wears you down and then goes at you. This is Ezra Charles, one of the great fighters of the 1950s. Another defense of his title. And here he is when he won the title in 1952 against Jersey Joe Walcott, and the punch in slow motion, one of the hardest ever thrown.
Introducing from Rockville Center, Long Island, weighing 190 pounds and wearing black trunks, the challenger, Floyd Patterson.
A little wide, caught the neck of Johansson.
Johansson is down. A left hook. A minute and a half left here in round 5. And there he goes.
Let's take a look at Floyd Patterson. Here he is in training. Lightning hands. Here's some of the highlights he had. You can see great combinations. Here he is against Jerry Corey, 67. Tremendous hand speed. This is what Marciano's going to have to go up against. Here he is against Johansson. There's a knockout against Hurricane Jackson. He was a very active heavyweight, very impressive in the 1950s and 1960s for that matter. There he is against Corey. Looking at Rocky Marciano, you can see his victories there. Charles, Walcott, Listarza, Moore. Showed you videos of those. His strengths, great endurance, tremendous power. Defensively, he was hard to hit because he stayed very low. Weaknesses, he had limited speed and quickness, and he had a short reach. Look at Floyd Patterson. He had some significant victories as well. None of them in the 50s. Johansson in 61, Eddie Mason, Jerry Corey, a draw, and Oscar Bonavena as late as 74. Hand speed was incredible. It was one of his strengths. Combinations, his peekaboo style made him hard to hit. He's a very good defensive fighter. I think most people, when mentioning Floyd Patterson, will always question his chin. And, of course, I just want to point out, Patterson really got a bad rap because of the 2 fights against Sonny Liston. If you take those out of his career, he had a brilliant career. But Liston was just one of the all-time greats and just wore him out in both fights. It was a style problem, much like Joe Frazier when he fought George Foreman. So, anyway, it should be a great contest. Looking forward to it. Looking at the keys to the fight, Patterson's lightning hands would be a problem for any opponent. Marciano's fighting out of his crouch as usual. This would present problems for Patterson, with Rocky being a difficult target. Patterson has never faced an opponent with the body attack that Marciano employs. Looking at the fight results, Patterson is winning the early rounds and builds up a lead as the fight progresses. By the 9th round, Marciano's body shots have slowed Patterson down, and the fight has turned into a brawl, which is an advantage to Marciano. Although Patterson has the faster combinations, the fighting at close quarters is to the advantage of Marciano. Marciano's body shots are taking their toll on Patterson. Marciano has taken incredible punishment, but is taking control of the fight by the 13th round. Patterson goes down twice in the 14th, and the referee steps in and stops the fight. All right, let's look and see how I came up with these results. Both fighters have similar size, and Patterson has the faster hands. I feel Patterson would be winning the fight going to the late stages, but Marciano's body shots would turn the fight into a brawl, which is to his advantage. It's a close fight, but Marciano's record of winning fights late compel me to pick Rocky. Looking into 1957, Rocky would be going up against the top contender, Eddie Machen. You can see they're both undefeated, similar size, both weight and height. Machen has a big advantage in reach, and of course his prime was a little bit longer as well. Should be an outstanding fight. One of the best fighters Marciano's ever had to face.
From San Francisco, California, wearing white trunks with black stripes and weighing 190 and a quarter pounds, Eddie Machen. Eddie Machen.
Known as an excellent boxer, but he can knock you out if he needs to. Most of his fights, though, were won by decision. He started his career incredible, 32 straight victories. There he is on the defensive. You can see Summerlin's going on the offensive attack against him. He handles it well. If Marciano had continued to fight in 1958, he would have had to take on Eddie Machen. He was the top challenger. He had really done well. Machen, during his career, had fought a draw with Cleveland Williams and a draw with Zora Foley. And probably the fight that really, really showed his skills was against Sonny Liston. Liston was knocking out everybody. Cleveland Williams, Zora Foley, all the top contenders. Eddie Machen went 12 rounds with him. And here they are in action. You can see that long jab of Sonny Liston. It's a freakish-looking jab. It's so long. But Machen, you can see, he's strong enough to get inside. Fights him a lot better than Floyd Patterson ever did in 61 and 62 and 63. All right, let's take a close look at Eddie Machen's record. You can see he beat Nino Valdez in 56, Hurricane Jackson in 57, Doug Jones in 61, and he fought a draw with Jerry Corey in 67. He was the ultimate boxer, jab with combinations, great footwork, great balance, and had a very strong chin for the most part. Fought all the best fighters of his day. Probably his only weakness, he was really not a big knockout puncher. Did not have a lot of knockout power. Let's take a look at the keys to the fight. I see Marciano having fits with Machen early, who is the ultimate boxer, moving and trying to keep his distance. Marciano will stay low with constant pursuit. Remember when Liston was cleaning up the heavyweight division in the late 1950s and early 1960s? Machen was the only fighter to go the limit against him, so he could definitely take a punch. Looking at the fight results, Machen is keeping the distance and winning round after round. Marciano's eyes are getting puffy, nose is bleeding, but he is in constant pursuit of Machen. Marciano is frustrated as the fight continues. In the 11th round, Marciano is bleeding, and the referee is concerned about maybe stopping the fight. In the 13th round, Marciano finally hits Machen with a short right hand that changes the fight in his favor. Machen is holding and trying to continue because he's well ahead on points. Marciano again hurts Machen in the 14th round, and Eddie takes a mandatory 8 count. Marciano ends the fight with a short uppercut. Explaining the results, Marciano faced several great boxers like Walcott, Charles, and Archie Moore. Machen fits that mold. He would be a nightmare for Rocky, much as they were. Marciano's endurance again proves to be the difference as he wins a very close fight, much like the Walcott and Charles fights. Last fighter that Rocky's going to face is in 1958. The top contender was Ingemar Johansson. He was also undefeated. Close to the same size, a little bigger, about 10 pounds heavier, 5-inch advantage in reach, and had a relatively short career, 55 to 63. He was from Sweden. All right, let's take a look at Ingemar Johansson in action. This is the famous 1958 fight with the top contender in the world, Eddie Machen. This is what put Ingemar Johansson in the title contention as he knocks Machen out in the first round. Now, in Mason's defense, I think he was a better fighter than Ingemar Johansson, but this was an outdoor event in Sweden. It was cold that night. I don't think Machen got warmed up. He had never been on the canvas, and I don't know what this referee could be thinking about, not stopping the fight. He just let Johansson just pummel him, and this was his big setback. Now we're going to go to 1959. Johansson gets a title shot against the heavyweight champion at the time, Floyd Patterson, and puts him down. You can see Johansson was a dangerous, dangerous fighter. He had a lot of power in that right hand. Patterson doesn't know where he's at. I think this is the 5th round, but he ends up winning the heavyweight championship of the world. Let's look at the Swede, Ingemar Johansson. His biggest fight, no doubt, Eddie Machen in 1958. Patterson, 59. He had beaten Cooper in 57. Erskine in 58. He had a powerful right hand, adequate defense. He's not real mobile. Weaknesses, weak chin. He could be put down. Questionable speed, quickness, weak jab. That right hand's pretty much what carried him home. He was a bomber. He could bomb you out of there. 2 times in Marciano's career did he need to be aware of opponent's knockout punch. Johansson had paralyzing power. No question somebody's going to be KO'd in this fight, with both of them having a great deal of power. Johansson's weak defense leaves him open to Marciano's body attack. Get the fight results. Marciano comes out strong and is stopped in his tracks as he goes down to an overhand right from Johansson. Johansson goes down twice in the 3rd round as he is unable to stay away from Marciano's power. Johansson's weak chin can't hold up against Marciano's power and is knocked out in the 6th round. All right, let's explain the results, how I came to the conclusion. Johansson had tremendous power. It was the only time in Eddie Machen's career, and actually in his prime, that he was knocked out in the 1st round by Johansson, which is a great indication of his power. Johansson also knocked out Patterson. So he had a lot of power. But this is a bad matchup for the Swede, in my opinion, because he's matching power against power. And Marciano was hard to get a good shot against. I know a lot of people say, well, he wasn't that good at defense. He stayed low. He was hard to get a good shot at. Yes, he did go down occasionally, but he never really seemed like he was hurt. His body attack could be the difference in the fight, and I believe it was the difference in the fight. Johansson is unable to move and stay away from Marciano's power, and therefore he's going to lose the fight. Hope you enjoyed this look at Rocky Marciano, and if he had not retired, what the outcome would have been. And these were 3 fights that he probably would have had to take on. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like button, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks.